The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Since the Passover of the Jews was near, Jesus went up to Jerusalem. He found in the temple area those who sold oxen, sheep, and doves, as well as the money changers seated there. He made a whip out of cords and drove them all out of the temple area with the sheep and oxen, and spilled the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And to those who sold doves, he said, "Take these out of here and stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples recalled the words of Scripture, "Zeal for your house will consume me." At this, the Jews answered and said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and you will raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking about the temple of his body. Therefore, when he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they came to believe the Scripture and the word Jesus had spoken. The Gospel of the Lord. The United States, we have the largest seminary in the city of Rome. It sits right next to Vatican City. In fact, the property is actually technically part of Vatican City. And it sits on this huge hill. And it's a massive building. It's capable of seating about 300 seminarians, more or less. And there's a phrase painted on one of the highest parts of the building in Latin. It says something to the effect of, "O glorious Rome, whose stones have been sanctified by the blood of the martyrs." It's a beautiful sign, especially for a young man to read that. Because here come these young Americans coming to live in Rome for the next 5 years, to dedicate their life to the church, to lay down their lives. And it recalls immediately the memory of why Rome is so important for us, especially as Catholics. Because those very stones in that city of Rome is where St. Peter and St. Paul would meet their end, and whose blood literally fell upon its ground. St. Peter and St. Paul. And would point to another bloody history of Rome, because for the next 300 years, our brothers and sisters would die for the faith there in that empire. But as these souls who sacrifice their lives for the faith, it's a great reminder of God's providence, even now. Never worry about the state of politics, about the rise and falls of economies and armies. And I know it's on our day-to-day life, it's everywhere, and it makes us crazy. When we have a proper understanding of church history and of biblical history, there's one thread throughout. God is in control. Always. Never forget that. God is in control. And this great feast day is a reminder of this. So watch this timeline. It's utterly amazing. So if we know St. Paul would die in Rome, they built the basilica there, San Paolo fuori la mura. And then they will build St. Peter's Basilica, where Vatican City is, San Pietro, because it was built on the churches were built on the spots where they are entombed. So for 300 years, we're persecuted. In 311, the Emperor Constantine wins a huge battle at the Milvian Bridge, just outside of Rome. He defeats his rival Maxentius. Constantine would credit this Christian guy, because he wasn't Christian yet, he was pagan. He credits the victory that he won. He was outnumbered, and he wins that battle, and he credits Jesus Christ By the year 313, this new Christian emperor, Constantine, would write the Edict of Milan. That Edict of Milan would legalize Christianity throughout the empire. The age of persecution is over by the year 313. So remember, for 300 years we're persecuted. The Edict of Milan comes in, we're now legal. And this is where San Giovanni Laterano was built, this church, the cathedral of Rome. To this very day, we can go visit it. The chair of Peter is there. And it is the mother church of all Christianity because it's the seat of the Pope, the head of the church on earth. By the year 380, so 67 years after that Edict of Milan, the Emperor Theodosius comes to power. And by the year 380, Catholicism becomes the official religion of the empire. We became a persecuted religion. Now we dominate all of Rome. That Edict of Milan, the Edict of Thessalonica, as we're called it, when Theodosius legalized us, would set the course for Western civilization and change everything. That same providence is happening now. And the key thing is, as magnificent as when you see the beautiful churches of Rome, I mean, they're beautiful, but one day all that will collapse. Just like everything else on earth will collapse. But what our readings show us here, the true temple of God, as we know, is all of us. We are called to be the new stones for the new Jerusalem, as St. Paul talks about this master building upon the foundation of Christ. And if we want to be holy, the key thing is love God with all of our heart, mind, and soul, and love our neighbor. That's the key right there. And we become the true temple of God. And as long as we focus on God's love and love of one another, let the world go crazy. We can't control any of that. We can't control how we love God and how we love one another. That's all we have to worry about. Let the politicians squander and bicker and fight. We love.